Hey guys, it's Jen. I'm here with my March wrap up for you today. I didn't quite read all of the books that I wanted to read in March. I only read 5 books, but I did finish a good amount. But first of all, because I'm sure you're probably wondering, I didn't exactly end March the best way. So on March 31st, so the last day of March, I was trying to go down the stairs and I have a baby gate on the stairs because I have 3 kids, so I don't want them go I don't want them going upstairs all the time because then I have to chase them through 2 floors. Don't really want to do that. So I was stepping over the baby gate and the dog came up behind me. She gave me a little push and I fell all the way down the stairs and landed on my head and my arm, and so my dog gave me a concussion. She broke my glasses. I got whiplash and a broken arm. So yeah, she's kind of a jerk. But yeah, that's how March ended for me, and I'm good now. So the first book that I finished in March is Dune by Frank Herbert. I think I gave this 3.5 stars out of 5. I mean, I've been reading this book since the beginning of January, so it took me 2 months to read this book. And it's not because it was bad, it was just really slow. This book is split off into 3 sections, and the first 2 sections of it are really slow, and things finally start happening in the 3rd section, and I got caught up in it, and I was able to read that part pretty quickly, but overall it was slow. I still really enjoyed it, but it was a slow read. So if you don't know what this book is about, the story is about a kid named Paul, whose father is a duke and his mother is a Bene Gesserit, which is a type of witch. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. But his family name is Atreides, and it's essentially his father is murdered. It's not really a spoiler because you know it's going to happen right from the beginning. And it's a revenge story. So it's about Paul getting his revenge on everyone and becoming like it's been prophesized that he's going to be like the savior of this race of people on the planet of Dune, where there's very little water on this planet. He's supposedly their savior, and this is just the story showing how he becomes his savior. There are more books in the series after this one, but this is the only one that my husband wants me to read because he said that the rest are not as good. He doesn't want me to ruin the books for myself by reading those as well. So that's the first one I read, and I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, much higher rating than I was expecting to give it. So I did enjoy it. It was pretty good. It was a good story. It's just a little bit slow. The second book that I read in the month of March is That Summer by Sarah Dessen, and let me just tell you, I was so disappointed. Like, I love Sarah Dessen's books, and I've read quite a few of them, but this one I gave 2 stars, 2 out of 5. I just felt that the main character was kind of a little bit whiny, and her problems were not as bad as they weren't bad. It was like normal teenage problems. Yes, her parents got a divorce, but I mean, lots of people's parents get divorces. My parents got a divorce. I did not have a meltdown because they had a divorce. Her sister was getting married. Yeah, that's supposed to be a happy time. I felt like this was just a little too whiny. Just felt the main character was a little too whiny, and her problems weren't really that bad, and she was making out like they were, and I just had a hard time getting into this one. It's very short. It took me 4 days to read, even though it's only 200 pages. It was not what I was hoping for, but I will continue to read Sarah Dessen because I do love her other books. The third book that I read in the month of March was an ebook, and that was Allison Zombieland by Gina Showalter. I read this book for my book club, and if I had not been reading it for my book club, I probably would have DNF'd it. As it was, I gave it 1.5 stars out of 5 because while I hated it, it just wasn't what I was expecting at all. I guess what I was really expecting was a Alice in Wonderland retelling with zombies or something like that, but it wasn't. It It was nothing like Alice in Wonderland. There were some parts that were okay, that were kind of funny or made me a little upset, like when her family died, that was a little sad. And there was a couple other things that made me a little sad. But for the most part, I just could not, like, I couldn't understand. Um, at the beginning, Alice is like this sweet kid, like a teenager, like a normal teenager. Well, not really normal, but she's a teenager. And yes, she has a couple of arguments with her parents, but I mean, other than that, she's like sweet to her little sister and everything. And then a bunch of stuff happens. She moves in with her grandparents, and all of a sudden, everyone she sees is just like, when she goes to school, she's like, I'm gonna beat that person up. And it's just like, okay, everyone in the school seemed to be like, I'm gonna beat that person up. And it's like, instead of an Alice in Wonderland retelling with zombies, it was more like Teenage Fight Club with spiritual zombies. Because they're not even real zombies, they're like spirit zombies. They're not everyone can see them, only certain people can see them. Apparently, obviously, Alice is one of the people that can see them. But yeah, it just wasn't for me. I'm not going to be continuing on with the series. I actually wasn't the only one that had these opinions at my book club. There was one other person who also did not really care for the story, but the other people there, they all enjoyed it. So at least I'm not alone in my opinion. So after a couple of bad books, I had to read something else because I was like, I need to read something that I know I'm going to love. So the fourth book that I read was We'll Always Have Summer by Jenny Han. This is the only book in her summer trilogy that I hadn't read yet, and it did it for me. I loved it. I read it in a day, and I don't really want to go into any details because this is the third and final book in a series, but it ended perfectly for me. And it was the perfect thing to get me out of reading so many crappy books this month, because normally I read all 4 or 5-star books because I don't really read books that I don't think I'm gonna like. And I thought I was gonna like the Sarah Dessen book, but I didn't. And I thought I was gonna like Alice in Zombieland, but I didn't. So thankfully, this was a 5 out of 5. And the final book that I read this month was Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. I forgot that this one was coming out this month. I don't really know how I forgot, but I forgot it was coming out. So as soon as I got it, because I had pre-ordered it and it came in the mail, and I was like, oh, sweet. As soon as I got it, I started reading it because I had just finished my other book that same day. And yeah, it took me a lot longer to read than I was hoping, but absolutely love this book. I mean, it is quite large. It's like 700 pages, and it's a great first book for the new series that she's coming out with. So if you don't know what this one is about, it is about a girl named Emma Carstairs who knows she's a shadow hunter. So this is the first shadow hunter series that Cassandra Clare has written that the main character actually knows they're a shadow hunter to begin with. So that was pretty cool because she knows all the ins and outs of the shadow hunter world. But she a parabatai, and her parabatai is her friend Julian, and they start to fall in love, which is not allowed for parabatai because of reasons you'll find out when you read this book. But this was an excellent book. It's 5 out of 5 stars from me because I absolutely loved it. And I can't wait for the next installment of this one to come out because I love the Shadowhunter series, and I don't care how many of them Cassandra Clare writes, I will read them all. So those are all the books that I read in the month of March. I was hoping to finish Glass Sword. I almost finished Glass Sword. I was going to finish it yesterday because I had like 100 pages left, and then I ended up sitting in the ER all day. And you would think, well, isn't that the perfect time to read? Yes, but not when you have a broken arm. And a concussion. I just couldn't concentrate on it, and every time I would sit and get started reading, someone would come and call my name, and I'd have to get up and go somewhere else. So it was like sitting in the waiting room, and then I was sitting in another waiting room, and then I was sitting for an x-ray, and then I was sitting back in the second waiting room, and then I was waiting there for a while, but it was really cramped, so I didn't want to read my book. And yeah. And I couldn't really hold it open anyways. It was really hard. I needed space to like put it on my lap. And then last night I just went to bed because I wasn't feeling well. So I just went to bed early and I didn't finish it. So it should be in my April wrap up for sure because I'm definitely getting it read and I didn't get any of the other ones read that I wanted to. So hopefully I will be reading them also in April. So these are all the books that I read in the month of March. Let me know down below what all you read this month and I will see you guys later. Bye!